Pillars of Democracy, Part 2. There is nothing wrong in being grateful to great men who have rendered lifelong services to the country. But there are limits to gratefulness, as has been well said by the Irish patriot Daniel O'Connell. No man can be grateful at the cost of his honor. No woman can be grateful at the cost of her chastity, and no nation can be grateful at the cost of its liberty. This caution is far more necessary in the case of India than in the case of any other country. For in India, bhakti, or what may be called the path of devotion or hero worship, plays a part in its politics unequaled in magnitude by the part it plays in the politics or any other country in the world. Bhakti in religion may be a road to salvation of the soul, but in politics, salvation of the soul. But in politics, bhakti or hero worship is a sure road to degradation and to eventual dictatorship. On the 26th of January 1950, we are going to enter into a life of contradictions. In politics, we will have equality, and in social and economic life, we will have inequality. In politics, we will be recognizing the principle of one man, one vote, and one vote, one value. In our social and economic life, we shall, by reason of our social and economic structure, continue to deny the principle of one man, one value. How long shall we continue to live this life of contradictions? How long shall we continue to deny equality in our social and economic life? If we continue to deny it for long, we will do so only by putting our political democracy in peril. We must remove this contradiction at the earliest possible moment, or else those who suffer from inequality will blow up the structure of political democracy which this assembly has so laboriously built up. The second thing we are wanting in is recognition of the principle of fraternity. What does fraternity mean? Fraternity means a sense of common brotherhood of all Indians. If Indians being one people, it is the principle which gives unity and solidarity to social life. It is a difficult thing to achieve. How difficult it is can be realized from the story related to James Bryce in his volume of American Commonwealth about the United States of America. The story is I propose to recount it in the words of Bryce himself that some years ago the American Protestant Episcopal Church was occupied at its triennial convention in revising its liturgy. It was thought desirable to introduce among the short sentence prayer a prayer for the whole people, and an eminent New England divine proposed the words, "O Lord, bless our nation," accepted one afternoon on the spur of the moment. The sentence was brought up the next day for reconsideration. When so many objections were raised by the laity to the word nation as importing too definite a recognition of national unity, that it was dropped, and instead there were adopted the words, "O Lord, bless the United States." There was so little solidarity in the USA at the time when this incident occurred that the people of America did not think that they were a nation. If the people of United States could not feel that they were a nation, how difficult it is for Indians to think that they are a nation. I remember the days when politically minded Indians resented the expression, "the people of India." They preferred the expression, "the Indian nation." I am of opinion that in believing that we are a nation, we are cherishing a great delusion. How can people divided into several thousands of castes be a nation? The sooner we realize that we are not as yet a nation in the social and psychological sense of the word, the better for us. For then only we shall realize the necessity of becoming a nation, and seriously think of ways and means of realizing the goal. The realization of this goal is going to be very difficult, far more difficult than it has been in the United States. The United States has no caste problem. In India, there are castes. The castes are anti-national. The castes are anti-national. In the first place, because they bring about separation in social life. They are anti-national also because they generate jealousy and antipathy between caste and creed. But we must overcome all these difficulties if we wish to become a nation in reality. For fraternity can be a fact only when there is a nation. Without fraternity, equality, and liberty will be no deeper than coast of paint. Dr. B.R. Ambedkar. Mrs. Addis. Sheila Kai Smith was an English novelist and poet. Many of her novels were set in the borderland of Sussex and Kent in the English regional tradition. Her book, The End of the House of Alad, became a bestseller. The story is about a peasant woman who finds a desperate young man at her doorstep, pleading of her to give him protection from the police. He had been poaching on the nearby estate, and in panic, he had killed one of the gamekeepers. Mrs. Addis. In northeast Sussex, a great tongue of land runs into Kent. It is a land of woods, the old hammer woods of the Sussex iron industry, and among the woods gleam the hammer ponds. Owing to the thickness of the woods, the road that passes Mrs. Addis's cottage is a dark long before the fields beyond.